dad was diagnosed with COVID. Um, and, he is 93 years old, right? So he was diagnosed with COVID. He was in the hospital. And so while he was in the hospital, we, made a request if, the oils that help with, COVID prevention and COVID recovery could be applied on him. And what I would say is that, his recovery for somebody of that age was actually, fairly quick. He was fairly asymptomatic. So I think that was the first episode that he had. And after that, he was home for 2 weeks and then he was diagnosed with pneumonia. And I think that was the phase where we used the oils a lot more diligently, both for the pneumonia and also for, the loss of memory and loss of appetite. So his short-term memory had gotten impacted. After he came back from the hospital, he just didn't want to eat. And I think the diligent use of these oils, along with, a nutritious diet, what we found was that he had become actually a lot more alert. In the middle, he had completely lost interest in conversation. He'd become a lot more alert. His appetite had gone up. He wanted to have conversations. So that was, actually quite a jump from when, even I'd say even pre-COVID, if I just think of the elements around the, loss of memory, just interest in having conversations, etc. The use of the oils has definitely made a difference. Symptoms prior to COVID, honestly, was a bit of a cough, and he had high fever, right? And I think post-COVID, it was honestly a combination of the oils, and he was on medication because he had been moved to the hospital. So, that medication was absolutely on. But, what I've heard of, people who've been through COVID and the kind of, side effects that they have had just by way of, either extreme weakness or, continued cough, loss of smell. Luckily, his symptoms weren't so severe, right? So, one could say it's, a combination of all the things that really worked in his favor. He was home for 2 weeks post-COVID. And then again, there was a bit of a cough. And we had a, CT scan done, X-ray done. In that, it came out that his pneumonia patch was actually pretty bad. And we had to move him to the ICU. So he was in the ICU. And I think he was in the ICU for probably 7-8 days at least, if not 10. And then when he came home was, I think, when, we really used the oils in a, I'd say, a very disciplined manner. The oils to do with, COVID, which I think also, impact and heal the lungs. The oils to do with his memory and his appetite. And I think these three things really made a difference because his appetite definitely went up, right? His level of alertness and just wanting to engage with people and have conversation, etc. Definitely. And I would say in terms of, his cough also, that settled down fairly quickly. So I think 2 or 3 things of the before and after, honestly. So one is just overall level of alertness. And when I say alertness, it's alertness to what is happening around, alertness to what's happening on the television, alertness to what is coming in the news, actually wanting to participate in a conversation, right? Vis-a-vis earlier, it was, the world is kind of happening around you and life is happening around you. And you're almost like a passive, I'd say observer. And the shift is now you're becoming a participant, right? And I think linked to that is just the willingness, for him to get up is not easy because, he had broken his hip about 2.5-3 years ago. He has a broken knee. but actually coming up to the terrace or coming to the dining table for a meal, sitting through the entire time and engaging in a conversation. While it might seem small, but it's hugely significant.